From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fairbanks Evening News Weekend Edition.
Good evening and welcome to our Saturday edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. I'm Katie Looper. Leading our news tonight, a new report by the Department of Corrections has found that current staffing levels are not enough to keep inmates and correctional officers safe in Alaska's prisons. The 200-page report requested by former DOC Commissioner Ronald Taylor calls for increases in staffing throughout the department while reducing staff levels in a few individual institutions. Joshua Wilson with the Alaska Correctional Officers Association said plastic boat-shaped units are put on the floor between beds to make a third bed so that a unit meant to hold 40 holds 60. While the report was only released this month, Wilson claims the DOC was aware of the findings since an initial draft was filed in September of last year, but held off on releasing the recommendations until recently.
It should be a wake-up call to the entire DOC, to the state, to the governor, everyone, that our institutions are not safe. Even more disconcerting is we've known that the DOC has had this report for 6 months, and we actually had to file a Freedom of Information Act to be able to get this report, for them to release it. We may have been able to prevent assaults, we may have been able to prevent deaths, and that's the most important thing, that our Alaskans are safe. And right now they're not.
A state lawmaker introduced a bill Friday that would cut the salaries of about 200 state employees. Those employees earn more than the governor does. Republican Representative Jim Culver of Wasilla said the proposal would primarily affect deputy commissioners, members of boards and commissions, and some university employees, reducing pay for these positions to less than $145,000. The proposal raised concerns among some policymakers that the pay cuts could hamper the government's ability to retain skilled employees. A provision in the bill would also allow the governor to add more money to a state employee's pay. The bill does not allow for exceptions.
Management positions and positions within our state corporations. It also does include the university. But there are some exceptions. The bill does include exceptions to, the state medical examiner, the university president, and some others.
The state looks to reform its penal system. It will also be looking at how to deal with Alaska's chronic inebriate problem. Jamie Schwartzwald explains.
It's a big issue because we're currently taking very medically unstable people, putting them in a high sort of a risk environment in a jail cell.
The big issue newly appointed Department of Corrections Commissioner Dean Williams spoke of during his introductory press conference is Title 47 protective holds. Alaska law requires the state to provide protective custody of an individual who is incapacitated by alcohol or drugs in a public place. In the city of Fairbanks, Community Service Patrol ambassadors are on the front lines of the issue, as they are often called in as the first point of contact with inebriates. CSP ambassadors have 3 options when initiating a protective hold, the first of which is seeking a family member that can host the inebriate. The second option is the Fairbanks Native Association operated detox center.
If they're allowed out at detox or they don't want to go to detox, then we have to take them someplace else. No friend or family member, they can't go to detox. Our last resort is 12-hour sleep off at Fairbanks Correctional Center. We have to take them to the hospital and get them medically cleared before they can go there.
Prior to his appointment, Commissioner Williams co-authored a report released in mid-November that detailed a series of concerns with how the state was operating its prison system. The report looked at a series of inmate deaths, including that of Gilbert Joseph in late August, who died after being assaulted by inmates at the Fairbanks Correctional Facility while on a Title 47 protective hold. The report discussed the impact Title 47 has on Alaska's corrections system, saying detained individuals are often medically unstable. He reiterated this upon being appointed to lead the department in January.
Putting high-risk individuals who are intoxicated by alcohol or drugs, who have committed no crime, in a jail cell with other people in the same condition is not acceptable.
So what determines the medical stability of an inebriate? Dr. Mark Simon runs the emergency department at Fairbanks Memorial Hospital. He says they do not use blood alcohol content to evaluate an inebriate during an examination, as those numbers do not always give an accurate indication of intoxication due to many factors.
It's really a clinical examination based on their level of functioning, their ability to talk, walk, communicate, all those kinds of things.
We will discuss where to go from here during part 2 of this series later this week. Jamie Schwartzwald reporting.
When we come back, racers in the Ivory Quest take on a 9-mile loop around Fairbanks in red, white, and blue. Also, local volunteers are paying it forward by delivering hot meals to seniors in downtown Fairbanks. Stay with us. Welcome back. Alaska is well known for their sled dog races like the Yukon Quest and the Iditarod, but today a group of volunteers organized a local race for all ages and experience levels. The Ivory Quest is a 9-mile race split into 2 loops. Entrants can ski, ski-jor, mush, bike, or run. Participants start and end at Ivory Jacks, and there's a required 1-hour layover at the bar in between loops. Racers can get time bonuses for each beer they drink or soda, depending on the age. The Ivory Quest was first born in the 90s. The story goes that a group of friends were sitting around talking one night when they came up with the idea of having a local race that would include sled dogs. The event has evolved and expanded over the years. Recently, they've adopted costumes, and this year's theme is President's Day. It's somewhat competitive, but the original idea of the Ivory Quest was to have a good time playing winter sports and enjoying a few beers while doing it.
At first, there really wasn't any rules. The only rules were there were no rules, and people used to put dog food on the trails to kind of mess with the racers and changing the signs so that people got lost and things of that nature, but it's really kind of evolved over the years to where now it's became, more structured and actually more family friendly is the thing, because a lot of us have gotten older and have had kids now, and so obviously you can see a lot of kids here now, so it's become more of a family friendly thing.
Well, it's not my first race, so I'm not too nervous about it, but he hasn't done a lot of ski races, so he's pretty nervous. I just want to ski out there and have fun.
TEDx, a local version of TED Talks, is happening in Fairbanks tomorrow at the Visitor Center from 11 to 4. 6 local speakers are lined up to talk about everything from Athabascan language and culture to crowdsourcing innovation. Tickets are sold out, but the event will be live streamed online, as well as from the Hub downtown on 2nd Avenue and Arctic Java on the UAF campus.
So the TED conference puts on a program called TEDx, and X stands for Independently Organized Event. So we are like an offshoot of the TED conference in a way, but we are completely independently organized. It's entirely volunteer driven, and it's all about engaging the local community and providing a platform for ideas we're sharing in the local community.
Uriah Nalakak volunteers his time at the Fairbanks Senior Center as a delivery man for its Meals on Wheels program. But for many elders living alone, he is the first person of contact. Ryan Grimes has the story.
Nalakak volunteers with the Fairbanks Senior Center, delivering hot and cold food to seniors in downtown Fairbanks.
We're going to go up to the 5th floor. I like to start at the top and then just kind of move our way down.
For his weekly check-in at the Golden Towers building, he has his deliveries down to an art form. FSC Executive Director Darlene Suplee says her favorite moment with Nalakak is when she heard just how helpful he could be.
He came across a senior in the Northward building that he had grown to know and who had expressed that he did not have enough food to last him for the weekends.
Meals on Wheels.
Uriah came back, and every Friday makes sure he gets a little bit extra.
Hey, Fran.
63-year-old Frances Highhouse benefits from the Meals on Wheels program and enjoys Nalakak's visits.
And there's people like myself that we look for the good in things, and he's definitely a good thing in this building.
Uriah says he was a first responder for one independent senior that was in need of medical attention.
A guy named John fell the day before on his way to the shower. And when I had knocked on his door, he had indicated that he was on the floor, had been there for a while.
I have a balance issue. I called, I asked for help, and I told him that I couldn't get off the floor, and I'm getting all scratched up. And
so I ran down to the office, called 911, let the office know. They opened it up for paramedics, and got them all squared away. But it was a pretty dicey situation there for him.
His energy is in an abundance, and I don't know how he does it, but the Golden Towers building and the Northward building have both called to express how grateful they are for Uriah's personality.
That whole group down there at the Senior Center, they're a great bunch, and all they want to do is just help out all the seniors. And it's funny because, you know, if everything goes well, we'll all be seniors someday. So hopefully that tradition continues and people still want to keep helping out.
This is Ryan Grimes reporting.
Mike Fussel's coming up next with your latest sports action. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, Interior Alaska. Mike Fussell here with your latest local sports action. This was a big weekend of competition for many athletes across the state. The Anchorage ceremonial start of the Iron Dog took place earlier today. Here's a look at the starting order. The race kicks off tomorrow as more than 40 pro teams push themselves more than 2,000 miles from Big Lake to Fairbanks. 2015 champ Scott Feo will be taking off with a different partner than last year in the number 6 slot. And Brad George, who took 4th, is also teaming up with a new partner. He drew the starting position of 29. We'll be following the race through the week with full coverage of the finish, and that will be next Saturday. And the Alaska Nanooks men's basketball team returned to the court for the first time since their Thursday night win over Western Oregon earlier today. This time around, though, the Alaska found themselves matched up with the Concordia Cavaliers. The Nooks started the first half down, but would change gears to hold a 5-point edge over the Cavs by the break at 40-35. Neil Chavez was a big contributor during the half, tallying 8 points. The Nooks were shooting just over 42% then, which put them at a slight advantage to Concordia. The Cavaliers would gain some steam again in the second half and even things up around the 15-minute mark. But a slew of turnovers and Almir Hadjisevich buckets put Alaska up by 10 just minutes later. Alaska only adds to that, bringing the final score to 92-69. Big Al comes up with a big late-game push for the team at a high of 16 points. And the Alaska Nanooks hockey team was in survival mode last night. They hosted the number 2 ranked Bowling Green Falcons at the Carlson Center and needed a win to keep playoff hopes alive. The Nooks got an edge early with the first goal of the game. Solid team defense kept the Falcons at bay for 2 periods, and the score locked at 1-0. At 4:57 in P3, Bowling Green would even out the score at 1, putting the pressure back on Alaska. They would respond, and it was a nail-biter with just 8.9 seconds left in the game. Taylor Munson gets a shorthanded goal. It would be the game winner. The Nooks get their first home win since early November.
Short-handed, you don't get those opportunities very often, and he made the most of it with a nice shot, cutting to the middle there and getting a nice low shot off. So kudos to both these guys and the rest of the guys in the dressing room.
I saw I had some room to skate up, and I knew that there wasn't very much time on the clock, so I just tried to get a shot on net, and I was able to sneak it under his pad, so I got lucky. The whole team gave a good effort tonight, and you know, we got 5 games left now, so every point counts, or every point matters, and we just got to gear up and get ready for tomorrow.
And the Fairbanks Ice Dogs had no trouble finding the back of the net last night. There was a fire sale on goals, and the Dogs cashed in against the Janesville Jets. Fairbanks' Todd Burgess was the first of the team, grabbing a tally just 5 minutes into the game. The Jets net won 5 minutes later, that is, but Reggie Lutz puts the Ice Dogs back up by 1 on a power play going into the first intermission 2-1. Fairbanks scores early in P2 thanks to Mitchell Bauman. That would be the game-winning goal for the Ice Dogs, but it would not be their last. They score 3 more in the second period and an additional in the last. The Dogs finished 3 for 5 on power plays for the night with a final score of 7-2.
Well, they're a good team. They're very versatile and fast, but we have to be versatile. In this league, when you see a team a lot, like we see Kenai a lot, and we played these guys 8 times, you just have to adjust to their weaknesses, and we had the right game plan tonight, but I'm sure tomorrow they'll come back at us with something new.
We've seen them, what is this, the 5th time we've seen them, so we kind of know their style of play now, and we've kind of changed our style of play, try to get pucks more to the middle and just shoot the puck from everywhere.
And it was a perfect storm at West Valley last night as a high school basketball rivalry and senior night all came together. The Wolfpack hosted the Lathrop Malamutes in what would prove to be a grueling game on all sides of the ball. The boys' teams seesawed back and forth with momentum changes reflected on the scoreboard. Lathrop held a 5-point lead over West Valley at the half, but was down by 2 at the end of the third. It all came down to the final quarter, and that's when the Wolfpack showed up. West Valley outscored Lathrop 18-9 in the final frame, and the Pack takes the victory on senior night 63-52. Daniel Hornbuckle gets the game high with 18 points on the night. And in the girls' game, West Valley would get an early lead and stick with it. The Lady Wolfpack pulls out a big win over Lathrop, 60-38. Ruthie Hebard racks up a huge 28 points in the Mid-Alaska Conference win. All right, and that about brings us to the buzzer for sports tonight. Katie Looper has your full weather forecast coming up next. Thanks for checking in, and we'll see you next weekend.
Welcome back to our Saturday edition. So another gorgeous sunny day out there. I know I was blinded on the roads getting here.
Yeah, I know. Between basketball here and there, on the roads, blinded as well. But, you know, you got to be careful because that can be dangerous.
I know, exactly. And we got more warm temperatures coming up next week as well. So let's take a look at the almanac for today. We had a average high today of 12. Tonight's low is 12 below. Our record high got up to 42 in 2006 and a record low 50 below in 1956. Hard to believe. All right, our sun rose at 8:34 this morning, sets at 5:39 this evening. Our daylight equals 9 hours and 5 minutes altogether, giving us a gain of 7 minutes from yesterday. Around the state today, rain showers in Juneau and Ketchikan, temperatures at 33 in Juneau and 40 in Ketchikan. Same with Anchorage. Anchorage temperatures at 22 though, and in Kodiak 35. Cloudy in Cold Bay at 28 degrees and partly sunny skies in Nome at 5 degrees. Cloudy in Barrow 12 below and in Fairbanks partly sunny skies. All right, now for the lower 48 weather, we can see partly sunny skies in Seattle at 51, a little warmer in Vegas at 73. Minneapolis, partly sunny skies at 42, same with New Orleans, 78. Miami is similar at 76, and then up there in New York, temperatures about 62. All right, back in Alaska, mostly cloudy all throughout with snow in Nome and wind in Barrow, and temperatures at 11 below in Fort Yukon, 16 below in Barrow, and 19 in Nome. For the interior, we can see mostly cloudy for Healy and Fairbanks with strong winds for Delta and Healy, and temperatures in around 15 for Delta and Healy and 25 in Fairbanks. All right, on our southeast part of the state, rain for both Juneau and Ketchikan, a gust of wind for both cities as well, and temperatures around 40 degrees. On our west side of the state, we can see mostly cloudy for Bethel and Cold Bay with scattered snow, rain, and snow for Kodiak, and temperatures around 30 for Cold Bay and Kodiak and 12 in Bethel. Now for our interior region, winter storm watch for entire south central region and up to 5 inches all throughout, and temperatures around 25 in Anchorage and Valdez and 30 in Homer. For tonight's forecast, temperatures about 12, partly cloudy with a slow gust of wind. And for tomorrow, about 25, mostly cloudy with highs in the upper 20s to lower 30s. And for our extended outlook, gorgeous weather. We got Monday checking in at 27 and then just kind of gaining up until Friday at 35. And for overnight temperatures, about 5 to 10 degrees. So looks like another gorgeous week and good temperatures for the Iron Dog.
Yeah, they're definitely good temperatures for spectators out there, but breaking the freezing point might mess up trail conditions. We'll have to keep a watch on that.
Yeah, actually, I saw somebody go through the ice last year on the river.
Yeah, no, it happened a couple times, so yeah, something to keep an eye on.
All right, well, that'll wrap up this Saturday edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We're glad you could join us.
Join us 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at webcenter11.com.
From all of us here at the News Center, have a good night.